Jeff, so here's a $1 million question for you. There are a lot of clunky AMS or association management systems out there right now that are very dominant in the market, very, very dominant, and they are not great. The associations know it, we know it, you know it, right? Why does the whole industry not realize that we have this tool, our members are not happy, the staff is not happy, yet they're unwilling to change?
That's a great question. The main reason, from my experience, is that when they adopted that system, it was like the worst experience of their lives.
Okay.
They went through it and they got to the other side. It was not a good experience, and they have PTSD from that experience. So I think we see this with a lot of associations where it's like, we'll be talking to a new leader that's come in and they're saying, hey, I've come in and I see how we're doing things. And oh my goodness, do we ever need to change and modernize? But the staff, the last time we implemented a new system, it was a nightmare. It took 2 years. It was traumatizing. And there's very low appetite to do it again. So that's part of the problem that's happened, is that, these implementations, historically, the AMS systems, they often don't go super smooth. They often don't deliver what was said was going to be delivered. And so it's a painful memory. And it goes back to that mindset of, I'm going to do this again in 5 years. I just got to get through 5 years. Even if it's horrible, I just got to get through in 5 years, and then I can justify moving on. And I think there's a lot of associations in that, facing that reality now, where they're like, okay, but my goodness, don't wait that 5 years and then just do the same thing again. Don't just go buy a big clunky all-in-one system, as good as the sales pitch might sound. Because what has been shown time and time again is that the sales pitch can be good, but in practice and in implementation, most associations are going to be quite unhappy with the outcome. So yeah, I think that's a big part of it. It's the resistance and also budget, right? They might have spent a lot of money to implement that system, and it's like, well, we got to get as much as even as painful as it is, we got to get as much as we can. But we've seen examples where, we talk to folks and they say, we know now that if we don't change the system, our staff will probably leave because it's such a pain. They're just, frustrated every single day. And if you have a job where you're using clunky tools for your day-to-day job, you're probably not going to stay at that job all that long. So I think that's part of it, for sure. And yeah, I think often what we see the triggers for change are when, new people have joined an organization, and come in and look and see how things are being done and say, oh my goodness, there's so much opportunity for modern technology to transform this organization and how we do things. So sometimes that's what it takes, is an outside perspective of a new staff member.
So that reminds me of a recent client experience that we had. So we were doing a workshop with a client, and don't want to mention names, but they just implemented an online community type tool, and then they were not happy with what they did. And when we were doing the whole workshop, and then they saw the strategy, they saw our demo, and then their mentality was that, we just spend this last 3-4 months implementing this new tool. We are not super happy with it, but I don't want the 3-4 months experience to kind of go to waste, right? So maybe we'll keep in the same course and then see where it ends, and then maybe decide. So when I heard that, I didn't want to reply right away. I was so maybe I'll let them think that for some time, and then next meeting we have, I'll probably share. So my thought in a case like that was that say you have a destination in mind and you started your journey, you're driving, you're driving, you have a destination, you started driving, and then you started driving sideways to a different direction. And when you're like 1/3 of the way, you realize, oh, this is the wrong direction. What would you do? Do you keep driving in the same direction? No, you change course as quickly as you can. Even though you spend so much time driving there, you change course as quickly as you can, because if you don't, you are just wasting more time and it'll be that much harder to come back, right? So I think a lot of people don't realize that in general, and they think that, oh, I made this investment, I have to get as much ROI from this as I can.
Yeah, that's a great example. If you know at your core that you're gonna, you're just doing it because money's been spent, and in the long run, it's going to cost you more. And it's going to cost you more than just dollars. It's going to cost you in member experience, and member experience equates to member renewal and membership renewal rates. And so there's just so much downstream impact of not making that course correction and getting to the proper destination that you were trying to get to. And I think that, it kind of comes back full circle to this idea of thinking about technology and having flexibility as a cornerstone. Because if you're thinking in a more flexible mindset, and if you're using more of an ecosystem approach, any one tool is not doing as much work as it might otherwise. And so making those course corrections and saying, oh, we started implementing this system, but realize it's not the right one, so it gives you way more flexibility to do that. If you're implementing a great big AMS that's going to take over your whole world, and 6 months in, you realize that this implementation that was supposed to be 6 months is now going to be 18 months. And I don't think we're going to get all those things they said we're going to get. That's like, as obvious as it might sound to make that course correction, it's a much more painful one to make, because you've invested time and money, and it's probably touched every department, every group, and has probably been involved. So that idea of making that course correction becomes, oh my goodness, like, no, we don't like this, but we just have to stick with it because it's so big. All right. So, my hope is that, associations should never again put themselves in a situation where they're so reliant on one system. It's a very dangerous game to play with technology. It's definitely not a modern approach to software. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I guess sometimes we do have to rely on some core systems, like the member data management, say Wicket, right? So we would rely heavily on that one tool. But when we do pick a tool that we have to heavily rely on, we have to make sure that the tool is open enough that works openly with the ecosystem. So another client discussion we had just yesterday, and they were saying that, the tool we are using right now, by default, they don't want to connect with others. And I'm so glad that you guys are saying that okay, you have an open API for everything. You can connect to any other tool. Right. So I think this is another mindset as well. So if your current vendor, they're saying that, oh, you know what, we're not going to let you connect with that other tool because, they're a competitor or whatever it is. Right. I think that is a warning sign.
100%.